Hello, my name is Joanna Wood, and this is my second cultural presentation on Germany. According to everyculture.com, historyworld.org, and britannica.com, the nation that would later become Germany rose from the Roman Empire as a series of territories that called themselves the German nation rather than the Holy Roman Empire. Despite this talk of nationhood, the various territories always maintained a great deal of autonomy and separation from one another. This divisive nature would leave Germany open to Napoleon Bonaparte as his French army disbanded the Holy Roman Empire in the late 1700s and early 1800s. This defeat and occupation would lead to the rise of German nationalism and subsequent war of liberation, in which Germany successfully expelled France from its borders. But the feelings of nationalism were not powerful enough to combat centuries of autonomy, and the German territories reasserted their political authority. This was not the end of nationalism in Germany, but few agreed in which direction Germany should go in its search for unification. The major arguments were between joining with Austria or Prussia to form a new empire. After Prussia defeated Austria, the decision was made for Germany. In 1871, Prussia established the Second Reich, or German Empire, with King Wilhelm I as German Emperor. According to History.com and InfoPlease.com, after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of the Austro-Hungarian Empire by Serbian nationalists, Germany sided with Austria-Hungary, giving them a blank check against the Serbians. When Serbia's allies, Russia, France, and England, joined in the conflict, Germany responded by marching across neutral Belgium to invade France, attacking Russia in the east, and mounting a vicious U-boat offensive against England. This U-boat offensive would eventually bring America into the fight, which would give the Allies the final push they needed to defeat the German armies. This defeat would lead to the collapse of the German Empire as the German leader fled with his family to the Netherlands. In 1919, the signing of the Treaty of Versailles officially ended the war. This is according to History.com and InfoPlease.com. According to HistoryWorld.org, nationalism and a bitter resentment for the terms of the Treaty of Versailles grew in the years following World War I. These feelings, along with a large national debt from war sanctions, were just what Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party needed to rise to power. He quickly turned the German nationalism to feelings of supremacy and convinced his people that world conquest was their birthright. Using a blood purge, Hitler consolidated his power, destroying anyone who stood in his way or was in his mind inferior. These actions would lead, along with an invasion of the neighboring countries, would lead to World War II, which would eventually lead to the Allies defeating Germany and an unconditional surrender of the German people. According to HistoryWorld.org and everyculture.com, after the war, the Allies divided a severely crippled Germany into 4 zones, giving the east to Russia, the northwest to Britain, the southeast to France, and the south to America. This would lead to the development of 2 separate German states, as the Russians continued to hold the eastern zone long after the other countries had released theirs to form into the Federal Republic of Germany in 1949. In 1990, East and West Germany were reunited, formally putting an end to Allied occupation. But the war and subsequent occupation had left scars in the collective German psyche, leaving many Germans wondering how nationalism had led to the horrors of World War II, and asking if it had been caused merely by a manipulation of the German people by its leaders, or a flaw in the German people themselves. According to everyculture.com and Germanway.com, most large German cities are an interesting mix of old and new styles of architecture. According to GermanWay.com, many Germans dream of home ownership, but the high price of German land and construction costs mean that most Germans rent their homes. Today, sport and apartment buildings built in the last few decades to provide the high-quality housing demanded by the German people dominate the cityscape. These towers are usually located on the edges of cities. Unlike American homes, German houses typically rely on hot water or electric radiant heat, resulting in a moist heat and homes that must be aired out at least twice a week in the winter to prevent mold. All but the newest German houses lack closets. The German houses are usually built on small lots of land, with the size of yards shrinking considerably the closer into the middle of town you get. According to Stripes.com, ThoughtCatalog.com, and EveryCulture.com, small towns like Idstein, which is a small town in Germany, are typically featured homes of an older style, often the half-timbered style of architecture which was popular in the 1400s. This style is named for the way it was built by taking a timber frame and filling it with branches, clay, and straw before plastering over it. Many small-town streets are quite narrow, having been built for horse-drawn carts and never expanded to make way for automobile traffic. Like bigger cities, the further you go from the middle of small towns in Germany, the bigger the lots are, eventually leading to the farms that provide a lot of German food. According to Interpersonal Messages by Joseph A. DeVito and EveryCulture.com, Germany is a traditionally masculine and independent society, with the roles for women and men being quite rigid usually. Women are more likely to take care of the children and manage the household. And up until 1977, according to EveryCulture.com, women could not get a job outside of the house unless it went along with their jobs in the home. According to Botanica.com, full-time school is free and mandatory for kids aged 6 to 16, but the number of kids entering school as preschoolers at 3 is rising. After 16, the schools divide, depending on the children's career plans, with university and trade schools being the most common choices. Both male and female children are expected to finish school and get a job after they graduate. German women often live with their parents well into their 20s, or at least until they get out of school, often moving out to search for jobs. In Germany, there is a rising number of couples living together before marriage, singles living alone, marriages ending in divorce, and children being born outside of wedlock. These rising numbers, despite being lower than many other European countries, have led many to speculate to the crisis of family, as they call it. They have also led to changes in social structure and the concepts of family, and a liberalization of family laws and policies. Despite these changes, according to DW.com, Germany doesn't allow gay marriage. Up until 1993, being gay was illegal. According to the State Department, U.S. State Department, violent crime is rare in Germany, but can happen in large cities, especially in the subway system and at train stations, primarily during early morning or late night. Most crimes are non-violent, usually pickpocketing or the theft of unattended goods. Hooligans, usually drunken skinheads, have been known to harass and assault perceived foreigners. There is also credible info to indicate that terror groups are plotting attacks in Europe. Demonstrations happen regularly in Germany, especially on politically significant days like Labor Day. They can turn violent and should be avoided. The State Department advises travelers to be cautious and aware of their surroundings. According to the U.S. Embassy, HowToGermany.com, and New York Times, Americans arrested in Germany are tried in German courts, and the consulate will be told when you are arrested if you are an American citizen. The consulate will give you a list of English-speaking attorneys and recommends you hire a German attorney. If you are convicted, you will spend your sentence in a German prison. The German legal system is similar to America's, with prisoners having the right to remain silent, protected by attorney-client privilege, and cannot be tried more than once for the same offense. Unlike the American system, blood and DNA evidence can be taken without your consent. There are no pleas of guilty or not guilty, and hearsay is admissible in court. German prisons are gentler than American. Typically one person per cell, separate bathrooms from the bedroom, and cell phones in cells, so prisoners can call home regularly. According to TravelTips.USA Today and GoAbroad.com, many German universities teach English, and even in small towns you can usually find someone who speaks English. Learning at least a few words and carrying a English to German phrase book are advised, especially learning the names of any ingredients if you have dietary restrictions, and the words thank you and good morning in German. According to ediplomat.com and everyculture.com, the German people adhere to a type of civic morality which leads to a certain formality and etiquette. You will not be acknowledged in a German shop unless you say good morning. In former East Germany and business meetings, shaking hands, even if you know the person very well, is customary. Do not leave one hand in your pocket when shaking hands. This is considered rude. When introducing yourself, give your last name only, and do not refer to somebody by their first name unless they give you leave to. When addressing someone, Germans will typically use formal titles, similar to Mr. and Mrs., with the family name, and pronouns that are considered formal in the German language. Other traditional customs like opening doors for women and not losing your temper are observed. Also, do not give the OK signal with your thumb and forefinger, as this is considered rude in Germany. Gift giving. Small gifts may be appropriate to be given at the end of a successful business negotiation. Books, bourbon, whiskey, classical music, or things made in America are very appropriate. Pointed items like knives and umbrellas are considered bad luck and should be avoided, along with personal items, extravagant gifts, or wine. If you're invited to a party, always bring a hostess gift. But if the party is large, you might want to send flowers before or after the party. Be careful with flowers. Always send them unwrapped in an uneven number, but never 13. Yellow roses and tea roses are good flowers to send. Never send red roses unless you mean to say you love someone, or carnations. They symbolize mourning. Yellow and white chrysanthemums and calla lilies should only be sent for funerals. Chocolates are almost always welcome. According to PrewResearch.org and thelocal.de, 51% of Germans have a favorable view of Americans, which is down 13 points since 2009. TheLocal.com reported that some Germans, like Nico Salzbach, laughs at some of his countrymen's habit of blaming the U.S. for everything wrong in the world. CEO Herbert Hainer says that Americans are less into penny pinching than Germans, but others are less kind, blaming America for the rise of consumerism and believe our country to be naive. This has been my report on Germany. As you can see, the German country has an interesting history and struggles to maintain its traditions as it enters the 21st century. Goodbye.